What time does Dave come out? Ooh. Ooh. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in love. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy. Gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in joy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy. Gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in peace. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy.
So right here, right now, in this space of oneness, in this infinite presence of love that we call Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, in this community where we recognize the power and the presence of spirit that is ever expressing in, as, and through each one, we embrace the changes in our community, in our lives, and in the world, knowing that we are never separate from spirit, knowing that we are always supported, empowered, and uplifted by that connection, by that divine source. And so right here, right now, I simply speak this word and call this celebration today holy and sacred, knowing that we are ever in a process of change, we are ever evolving upward. And so we open ourselves to receive that message, to know our good, and to be blessings of love on the planet. And so, with deep gratitude for this beautiful teaching, for this beautiful community, and for everyone here today, I simply release this word into that ever-present and loving law that does unto us as we believe. And as I believe in the love that we are, I know that it is already true. And so I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Father's Day. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, a vibrant community where love, joy, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Here we honor a unique journey of every soul, offering a place of healing, growth, and celebration. Together we create an atmosphere of openness and love where every person is seen, valued, and accepted just as they are. I am Christy Fondavilla, a member of the Leadership Council here at CSLM. Thank you for joining us. Whether you are here in person or watching the live stream or checking us out at a later time, we are so happy that you are part of this journey of shared wisdom, light, and transformation. We are joined here today by our musician, Reverend Rich Volk, from Houston CSLM. Our practitioner today is Lori Carlson, who will also be available for express treatments after our service today. We are honored to welcome our guest speaker today, Reverend Nicolette Siragusa. And since 2008, Reverend Nicolette has served as a solo pastor in United Church of Christ churches, first in Michigan and then in Connecticut, before she became the pastor here at Brookside Community Church in 2019. She's an advocate who values diversity of thought and is joyful and spirit-filled in her preaching. We are so blessed whenever she shares this joy and wisdom with us. Reverend Nicolette was also instrumental in bringing us to our new home here at Brookside in 2022, and now into our new space downstairs beginning next week. What a perfect day to have her celebrate with us. So the theme for 2025 CSLM is Rising Higher and Growing Deeper. Our monthly theme for June is In Living Color. And Reverend Nicolette's topic today is disruption. I'd like to start off with a Namaste practice. We will begin our celebration today with our Namaste practice. Namaste is a Sanskrit word meaning the divinity in me honors and celebrates the divinity in you. So please turn to those around you and offer a Namaste greeting as you bow. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Let everyone finish their namastes. Good morning. So, in honor of Reverend Nicolette's topic, disruption and change and transformation, I'm going to lead us in a guided meditation practice about that change and about the peace that we can find within change. So I invite you all to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. If not, you can just lower your gaze and just so totally arrive in this moment. Take a deep breath. Let it fill your belly, your chest, and your whole being. Exhale slowly and fully, arriving right here in this moment. Allow your thoughts to settle like leaves drifting to the earth. And allow your heart to open like a flower turning to the sun. And now I invite you to ask yourself gently, what is one thing in your life that has never changed? Sit with that question. Can you think of anything? I know I can't, because life is always changing. Even the things we think are constant, love, truth, our sense of self, have shifted. Not because the essence has changed, perhaps, but because we have. Our understanding, our perspective, our relationship with these things evolves, deepens, or sometimes even wavers. In Science of Mind, we often say that truth is eternal, but even eternal truths are only as meaningful as our ability to perceive them. Change is not an interruption of the divine flow. It is the divine flow. Take a breath into that recognition that change is the divine flow. There is great peace in recognizing this. What if you stopped fearing change? What if you stopped grasping at what feels good or running away from what feels hard? What if you could trust that what is joyful will shift, but what is painful will also pass? What if you could know that after the change, there is always something else? Something new to discover, to feel, to become. Some changes are painful. Some feel like loss. But even bad and good are just thoughts, judgments shaped by temporary views. Does anybody have an experience of something they thought was bad that turned out to be good? Or vice versa? Everything is impermanent. And so we return again to the one, to the presence that does not shift, though our sense of it may, to the source that is constant, though our awareness of it may expand and contract, to the peace within us, the peace of knowing we are never separate from divine love, even on the days when we feel disconnected, even when we question everything, even when we are tired or lost. That peace is still there within, waiting to be remembered. And that remembrance is the practice. Take a deep breath right now in acknowledgement of the practice of remembering your oneness with Spirit and the impermanence of all else. And then I ask you to ask yourself a question. What area of your life is quietly asking for change? Where are you being invited into something new, even if it feels uncertain or scary? Let it arise gently. Whatever it is. It could be a shift in your work, or a change in the dynamics of your relationship, or a new way of caring for your body. Just allow it to arise. And then repeat this silently to yourself. I trust the life within me. I trust the unfolding of my path. I release the need to control every detail. I step into change with grace, courage, and clarity. I am supported by the one infinite intelligence of the universe. All is well, and all shall be well. Take a few breaths and allow these truths to settle into your heart. And know that change is not here to punish us. Change is a natural force. Impermanence is the reality of life. Our choice to meet it consciously, spiritually, is how we walk the path of freedom. So let's take a few breaths into the knowing that this moment is impermanent, but the peace within us is eternal. And let's remember again that change is not an interruption of the divine flow. It is the divine flow. Take another deep breath in. Exhale slowly. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, carrying with you the knowledge that change is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is your path. And the peace within you is your home.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. Whether you're in the masculine, feminine, raise children, or dogs, or cats, goats, or chickens, whatever, we all have something. Don't worry, mother, it'll be alright. And don't worry, sister, say your prayers and sleep tight. And it'll be fine, brother of mine, it'll be just fine. And lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Feel out the love and bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon. I've heard your anguish, I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, we aren't worn out. Set down your chains until only faith remains. Set down your chains and lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you used to be free from. Feel out the love and bravery, we shall lead a life uncommon. There are plenty of people who pray for peace, but if praying were nothing would have come to be. Let your words enslave no one. The heavens will hush themselves to hear your voices ring out clear with the sounds of freedom. Sounds and we are armed with faith. To live, we must give. To live, and lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend yourselves to that which you used to be free from. Feel like the love and bravery, and we shall lead. In your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend ourselves to that which we wish to be free from. Feel like the love and bravery, and we shall lead. A life uncommon. And now, it's my time, my pleasure to introduce and to bring up here Reverend Nicolette.
Hello, friends. Hello. So good to be together. Thank you for inviting me. So a little bit of background on what we are talking about. A number of months ago, I came across a prayer written by Archbishop Desmond Tutu that was based on an earlier prayer by Sir Francis Drake, and it's called "Disturb Us, O Lord," which I loved, and I'd saved it, and I had looked for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it just never seemed right and fitting to use it. But so this will be our summer series on the other side of the building. Will be based on this prayer, so I'd like to share it with you this morning. It goes like this: Disturb us, O Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we've dreamed too little, because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, O Lord, when the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the water of life, when having fallen in love with time, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of heaven to grow dim. Stir us, O Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture into wider seas where storms show thy mastery. Where losing sight of land, we shall find the stars, in the name of him who pushed back the horizons of our hopes and invited the brave to follow. Amen.
Wow.
Right. So why is this an adaptation of Sir Francis Drake? Well, Sir Francis Drake, for those of you who need a refresher from high school history, was the first English-speaking person, the second person to circumnavigate the globe. So we hear echoes of that in speaking of the shore and the stars, but it's an adaptation because he was writing even earlier than Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. So if we were trying to use his original words, it would sound clunky to our modern ears. So Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who knew the familiar shores of oppression and disenfranchisement and apartheid in South Africa, invited others to explore the new seas of brotherhood and equality. These two men bravely ventured beyond what was known and invited others to follow guiding stars, guiding spirits, and this idea just enthralled me. I wondered, could I too be inspired to leave my own places of comfort and complacency, to be disturbed enough to change, and could I pray for that change? Could I pray, disturb me, O Lord? Because I know my areas of comfort, and I know how easily I can be lulled into complacency. So to prepare for today, both here and on the other side, I wanted to learn more. I'm always curious about what inspires people to write things. What's the background of this prayer? Why did Sir Francis Drake write it? Why did Archbishop Desmond Tutu find it? How was it changed from the original? And so I delved deeply into the internet. And it was then that I found out that none of this is true. The prayer was not written by a great explorer. It was not adapted by a famous theologian. It was written in 1945 by the relatively unknown Reverend Addison Hershey Groff. It was first published in a collection of prayers in 1962 called, very simply, The Minister's Manual. Now, in contrast to the numerous pages, web pages and sites devoted to Tutu and Drake, there's relatively little about Reverend Dr. Groff on the internet. What I did find were 2 single-line mentions in his alumni magazine. So thanks to Franklin and Marshall for digitizing their alumni records. It is there that I found out that he graduated in 1910 from Franklin and Marshall. He earned his doctorate in divinity in 1948, so just a few years after writing this. So I'm imagining perhaps in writing this, maybe he was discerning whether he wanted to go for his doctorate and wondering if he wanted to stretch in that way. Right? Without information, we were invited to dream. But I also, in that like dreaming of bigger and going beyond, I also know that he served the same congregation for 52 years until his retirement in 1966. So after his death, this prayer was first misattributed to the editor of the prayer book, so the one who had written the Minister's Manual or edited the Minister's Manual. And his grandson, David, wrote a letter to correct the record. Actually, it was my grandfather who wrote this. But that correction has very little sway in the vast seas of the internet. This prayer's missed attribution, again, expanded to include Sir Francis Drake, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and one well-known and reputable source for progressive Christianity. I will withhold their name to protect their reputation, but they listed this prayer as, quote, a traditional African prayer, and said that is how Archbishop Desmond Tutu knew it. All right. So in the Christian tradition, at least, it's not unusual to give weight to words by connecting them with someone famous. So in our sacred text, what we call the New Testament, there are several letters that claim to be written by the Apostle Paul that we know weren't written by him. But it would be like me saying, like, Nicolette from Brookside Church to the church in Corinth wants to let you know. And like people would be like, I don't care what she says. So they would sign these letters and say from Paul in Antioch, and people, and then it would be included in scripture for generations to come. So my question is whether the authorship of important words matters. Is the prayer still powerful even though the author is relatively unknown? And on the other side, are powerful words less important if the author is problematic? So Sir Francis Drake, for example, he circumnavigated the globe, great. He was also one of the earliest people who helped create the system of the enslavement of fellow humans. So when we find out that kind of information, when we learn new things about our heroes, does that make the work that they did or the words that they spoke less important, less resonant? It can be really that dissonance between what we thought we knew and what we do know. It can cause discomfort. I really was not happy when I found out that this prayer was not written by who I thought it was written by. It's uncomfortable when we take in information that changes our understanding of the world around us. So in my brain, I've been imagining a hotel room, and where you pull the shades and you're cozy in the bed and you feel safe and secure to stay in bed and stay in your pajamas and be cozy and comfortable as long as you want. Why? Because you remembered to hang the do not disturb sign outside. You know that you are safe and secure in your little bubble. It is disruptive when there's a knock at the door. We start, whatever we are doing, our habits, our routines, whatever we're in the middle of, a knock on the door disrupts that bubble. And then we have to open the door, we have the choices of whether we walk through the door, but the disruption with that. The thing about comfort is that old ways, old habits, we can find comfort in them even if they don't serve us any longer. But we know them, and we don't know what's outside. Next week, I'll be sharing some stories with my congregation from our Gospels about Jesus inviting people to follow him. And how they're like, oh, you're amazing, we love you, we love everything you're doing, we want to follow you. And he's like, come on. They're like, okay, but first, I just need to do all of these things. And because it's inconvenient to actually go through these times of change. In reading history, it can be really tempting to say things like, well, if I was there, if Jesus said, follow me, I would just drop everything and follow. But the truth is that I don't know how I would react in that moment. It's really hard to say yes to something that breaks us out of what we know. The truth is that these kind of opportunities happen all the time. They're not always big, life-changing, come and follow me. Sometimes they're little ones. But we're hesitant to disrupt patterns in our families, our jobs, our routines. Now, maybe we don't hang a do not disturb sign, but maybe we don't want to answer the door, or maybe we hesitate. Sometimes it can seem that change is inevitable. So some sort of outside force interrupts the status quo. The door is opened. Sometimes those moments of being disturbed are really hard. One of the ones that I think of almost immediately when I think about moments, pivotal moments that could have changed everything, is I think about the Sandy Hook massacre. I think about that opportunity, that we were so shaken as a country that the door was opened for us to reconsider our relationship with weapons. And we just didn't walk through the door. And we see violence. We see what just happened in Minnesota. We see this culture. And I wonder, when will the door be opened again? In such a way that the whole country feels it. Because we've gotten real numb to violence. We've gotten really numb to it. We know that the status quo doesn't serve us. We know that. But it's hard to move forward. And I say that because we see it in other ways in our culture right now. The fearful want to go back to the good old days. The good old days that were not good for a lot of people, including some of the ones who want to go back to the good old days. But you knew what to expect. You knew the order of the world. It's scary to try to create something new, to progress, to go forward into the unknown. And so what do we do as people of faith? We practice. We practice visualizing change and recognizing that change is happening. How do we live into it? We practice being uncomfortable. I think that this is a one that one that's really hard to express to people who are fearful of change. That you just need to practice not knowing what's going to happen next. The part of the meditation about like I release my need to know all of the details. That's oof. That's a really hard one. It's very uncomfortable for me to not be in control, but I'm never in control. It's a false illusion that I have. We practice being uncomfortable because in doing so, we practice recognizing disturbances in our routine as opportunities for growth. As was mentioned here, your move here, that was a disruption, a deep disturbance in the way that you were as a community. Dr. Frankie's retirement deeply disrupted the way that this community is in relationship. And now your move downstairs. Each one of these disruptions to your routine have invited you to imagine a new future. Imagine and dream a new way of being. We practice allowing our worldview to be disrupted by new voices. We practice listening to others. Your invitation to a wide range of people to speak, including myself, to give of your time and attention in your sacred space, that expresses a willingness to stretch and to have ideas and ways of being disrupted. And we practice honoring diversity. We practice listening from the margins, learning from the margins. Your willingness to incorporate wisdom from a variety of faith traditions both recognizes the heart of what we have in common, but also the glorious diversity that exists in this world. Now, I understand that that not everyone wants to be disturbed. Not everyone wants to be disrupted. That when you are, when you're in your cozy little hotel room and all's dark and peaceful and quiet, and then there's the knock at the door, you are awakened to a world where heroes aren't perfect and villains are just people, and history and religion and society are understood differently depending on the lens that you have. I understand why people don't want to live in such a world. It's messy and complicated and confusing. I understand why to some people being woke is a slur and it is to be avoided at all costs, because it is comfy and cozy and safe to be asleep. I like a neat and pretty story as much as the next person. I wanted to talk about the wonders of navigation that inspired Sir Francis Drake and how we can all be inspired to go out into the wild, beautiful world. I had plans for today. That's just not what happened. And I could have been inauthentic, and I could have pretended that I never saw what I saw and didn't know what I knew, but that wouldn't be who I am, and that wouldn't be who you are. And despite my wishes and my plans, I think there's something actually really beautiful about these powerful and inspiring words being written by a very ordinary person. That sometimes ordinary people can say extraordinary things, and we might not ever remember who spoke that words. The only person who remembered that these words, his grandson. But the words that you share, the ideas that you put into the world, the actions that you make, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So I pray that you are bold enough to speak and wise enough to listen. And that you are open to being disturbed, disrupted, perhaps even being awakened from your slumber, and pray. Disturb us, O Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, because we have sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, O Lord, when the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. When having fallen in love with time, we've ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, have allowed our vision of heaven to grow dim. Stir us, O Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture into wider seas when storms show thy mastery. And where losing sight of land, we shall find the stars. In the name of him who pushed back the horizons of our hopes and invited the brave to follow. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Nicolette. That was inspiring talk, thought-provoking, and just opened up my heart. So now it's time for us to celebrate our abundance. We believe in the spiritual law of correspondence that states, as you give, so you shall receive. There are many ways to give here at the center. We appreciate all of our volunteers who give their time and talents. We also appreciate those who give from their financial abundance. This time in our celebration, we will pass our basket, which is right over here. And with the basket where you can give your monetary gifts today. You can also give on our website, cslmorristown.org, or through PayPal or Venmo. Right there. And many of our committed givers already use that, so thank you so much. Please join me to affirm our abundance and bless these gifts. Divine love consecrates my gift.
Divine love consecrates my gift.
It goes forth to heal,
It goes forth to heal,
prosper,
prosper,
and bless.
and bless.
As I give my good,
As I give my good,
I receive my greater good,
I receive my greater good,
and so it is.
and so it is.
We have a few announcements that we're going to be making, and they're right in here. So, first thing, okay. Oh, we have our outdoor concert next week. That's going to be from 1 to 3:30. It'll be outside. In case of, rain, we're going to move it indoors. Magazines are on sale for $11.95. I think that's all for our announcements.
That sound bath coming up?
It's in September.
Yes.
Next week.
Bring a friend and bring a chair.
Yes. For next week's outdoor concert, bring a friend, bring a chair. And
And it's the blessing of our new space downstairs, so you definitely want to be here.
Yes.
I'm speaking, but come for the blessing of the space.
Oh, yes. So yes, next week we're going to be in our new space. It's our grand opening, and social hour is going to be catered through Leadership Council. So come join us. Let's see. Do I have
And
everything?
today's social hour is downstairs.
And today's social hour is sponsored by Valerie and Mark White, and we're so grateful. Thank you for all the volunteers. And that's going to be downstairs. That's going to be our first social hour downstairs. So we're really excited. And thank you for being here today. May you have a blessed day and a beautiful week. Please join us next week. Our guest speaker will be our very own Lori Carlson with music by our very own Grayson Nierenberg. All right, so we're gonna have social hour downstairs, and then we are handing the podium over to Lori.
So we'll now do a closing treatment, and then Reverend Rich will bless us with more music. Also, I will be available for Treatment Express up here. If you want social hour, go down deep, but if you want treatment, I'll stay up here. So, Affirmative prayer is how we acknowledge our oneness with Spirit. It is not a begging and a beseeching to a God outside of ourselves, but just a recognition of our oneness. And so I invite you all to close your eyes and to hear these words as if they were your own, because in a way they are. And so right here, right now, I align myself with the one power and presence that never changes. As much as my awareness or alignment with it might, it is ever present. It is the loving source of all of life. And I know that right here, right now, it flows through this community and through each one here, each one watching, and each one on the planet. And so I am grateful to be in that divine flow, to recognize our oneness and our ability to show up as love in action for each other and for the planet. To welcome the disruptions that allow us to see with a new perspective, and to welcome the change that is ever present and allows us to grow. I know that we each leave here uplifted, empowered, and supported by this beautiful message, by this beautiful celebration, by the beautiful music, and by one another. It is wonderful to be with those of like mind. And so we fill up our spirits, we fill up our souls with this communion, with this love, with this spirit, and with the joy that we find in the company of one another. How blessed are we? And so, with deep gratitude for all of this and so much more, I simply release this word into law, knowing that it cannot come back to me void, spoken as it is with deep faith and conviction, and held in our heart. And so, I simply let it be, and I invite you all to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. And now we have Reverend Rich.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Nicolette. That was really amazing. Thank you so much. So good to I don't know how to explain it, but I was really impressed. Thank you so much. So this is an old civil rights tune. I think I sang here once before. And it seems to be apropos for these times. It's called Guide My Feet. And I learned it from a guy named Reggie Harris. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. 'Cause I don't want to run this race alone. Guide my feet while I run this race. I said, guide